So if you come to these companies and you consult them and they tell you, it's really important, but the revenues come from here, and we're more or less sure that it will be this way for the next 5, maybe 10 years, what would you tell them in order for them to have more like energy and emphasize on the second option?
Yeah, it depends on if the platform is already burning, let's put it that way. So one of my clients is, for instance, BP, one of the largest, globally largest companies, right? And they are in the oil and gas business today, right? With a tiny, tiny little appendix called new energy. Obviously, as we all know, when it comes to corporate climate, oil and gas will not be the energy of choice moving forward. So it takes years, Adi, to turn around such an aircraft carrier. So, for instance, BP is well aware that they need to start now to basically gradually shift the aircraft carrier in a way that they also keep their shareholders happy, right? So it's not about just flicking a switch, but you need to start in time to make that change happen. And innovation plays a major part in there. Obviously, there are other choices like M&A, buying startups, but statistics tell you all of them are risky businesses, right? There's only 1 out of 12 startups that corporates acquired where they are completely satisfied. And we all know that M&As also fail with a 70% rate. So that's a risky business as well. And interestingly, McKinsey has shown end of last year that two things. First of all, organic growth, meaning growing also via innovation, is over the long term, over many industries, many companies, the more safer bet to create value. And the second piece is building new business from innovation is the preferred choice, the preferred option within that organic growth bucket. So I think more and more companies are becoming aware of this.
And it's more successful than just buying the startup that you think that might take some of your market to grow within the company.
Yeah, but it needs to make sense, Adi, isn't it? I mean, it's not about just scouting for startups, running some technical pilots with them, maybe buying 1 or 2 of these. They have fancy valuations as well, just tiny little revenues, and they are acquired for billions and hundreds of millions, etc. So it needs to make sense, and at the end of the day, you have to make a business out of it, right? Statistics show you that if a company acquires a startup, 50% of the top talent that they acquire is gone after 2 years. So they're left up with basically more or less the same team, right, if you will, right? But then they still have to make a business out of it. So that's also not the panacea, so to say.
Yeah, the fact that they're losing the real talents, the founders, the people who are really important in that startup, is really connected to the way they see this merge. And they think that they will buy the idea and more or less that's enough. And they could just merge it into their regular processes and way of thinking, to the regular people that are in the company, and it will just, be attached, like Velcro.
Exactly.
But it doesn't really work this way. So what do you think is preventing them from really succeeding in that?
Yeah, I think there are two sides of that. If you look at the corporate side, obviously we touched upon this one. There's a well-oiled system telling you, if you're in a large corporate, how to do things, right? You've got the rules, the procedures, the politics, the governance, the committees, etc., all that stuff, right? So now comes that 20, 50, 80 people company with a great technology, right? And I mean, 2 worlds meet, or in practice, they don't
collide.
Exactly.
2 meets collide.
Exactly. But on the other hand, it's also a startup issue. I mean, the people who joined that startup basically said, well, we want to have the entrepreneurial freedom, the espresso machines, the bean bags, right? And we want to make a dent in the universe, right? And now they're basically tied to monthly planning meetings, and they have to stick to the rules. So they don't like this environment, right? So, and then obviously they're looking for other environments where they can really have an impact. So it's not